Hey YouTube, back with another video. Thank you again for watching some of my previous videos. It would be great if you could help this community and this channel by liking and subscribing. Press the little bell notification for when I release new videos. And I'm going to be trying to release regular content to you all on YouTube to really support the community and the group. So in my last couple of videos, I had some comments about people saying, I've lost an X amount from my investment. A good example was I bought VeChain, and somebody said, they bought it at 7K. They spent 7K on VeChain, and 30 minutes later, it was worth 3K. And I really don't like hearing news like that. And I really want to try and help the community. So I'm just gonna go over a couple of tips that might help you in this community. So first and foremost, you may see a lot of groups out there. So a good example might be, XRP Army. Then you got Link Marines, and then you've got all these other community groups. And some of these community groups can be quite strong in their community, and they really want people to stay part of that group. And it's fine to be part of that community, but it's important to remember that you're not. You may be part of a community, but end of the day, you have to look after yourself, and you have to look after your own investments. So if you see the price tanking, or if you hear bad news about the project and it's fact, then you just get out of that coin completely. So a good example was that I was bullish on XRP for years. I was probably bullish on it for about 3 years, but I knew the pros and cons of that project. And as soon as I heard the SEC, court case and filing, I dumped my token straight away. And it's probably one of the best decisions I've ever made. It might be quite hard. You might be thinking, well, I'm not being faithful to the token and I'm not being faithful to community. But at the end of the day, you have to be faithful to yourself, and you have to be faithful to your own investment, because nobody's going to take care of your own investment like you. If you held on to your coins and you're still part of the community, but you've lost a couple of grand, is the community or is XRP or Ripple really going to care? No, you will. And you need to look after your own investments and for your own asset and how you allocate your assets. The next thing is, learn from your mistakes. And I can tell you now, I've made plenty. I made some videos in the past about INS or Insula, and I was quite bullish on that project. I lost some money on that, but thankfully I managed to get that back. And that was a terrible project. The team abandoned the project, and I managed to get out with probably half my money, so it wasn't too bad. And luckily enough, I didn't invest too much into it. Another example is XRP. Just to be clear, however, for XRP, for now I'm bearish. I'm just not interested in that coin at all at the moment. But I might not be in about 6 months. As soon as the SEC filing comes out, then I think the story might change, and we might start seeing XRP doing quite well then. And not to forget, they still have all these partnerships, and a lot of banks are still using X current. So for them to transition over to to the other products, wouldn't be too much of a stretch if they get regulatory approval. The other thing to keep in mind is don't fall in love. And what I mean by that is, don't fall in love with your projects or your token, because that can blind you. And when you love a particular project, you might like DOT, you might like Ethereum, you might like Cardano, whatever it might be. These are all great projects, but at the end of the day, when there's a trend reversal and they start going down, you need to start thinking about selling that token, and don't be afraid to sell and make a nice tidy profit. That leads me on to my next advice or piece of advice is, when you're 30% up, 60% up, don't be afraid to take profits. And if you think, you're at 30% up and you think, okay, actually, you know what, I think it's still got a long way to go, and you really, really don't want to sell, then maybe just sell half, or sell a quarter, or sell a portion of your assets, but I highly recommend, you know what, take profit. There's nothing wrong with taking profit, locking that away, you know, selling a token that's just pumped 60% and then putting it in another token that's just dumped this minus 30% or whatever it might be. But remember to take profit. That's really important. The next thing that is important, and this is critical, don't try and catch a runaway train. So, you know, a good example is, you know, say if I look in this chart here and I look at the net last 24-hour price, you know, I won't be buying Aave today. No way would I be buying Aave today. It's up parabolically 30% up today. In fact, what I might do, in fact, would be to do a future short on that kind of trade. I would not be buying Aave at the moment, no matter how high the price goes. I see this as, look, I've missed a train. There'll be another one coming along. I'm not going to try and jump on that train because I'm going to get seriously hurt. And that's what happens to a lot of people. They jump on this, they get in too late, and then the price dumps, and then they wonder why they've lost all their money. And then, you know, to a certain extent, maybe some people might blame the project. And that's not right, because, you know, it might be a good project and you might not ever invest in it again because of your experience. But it was because perhaps maybe you bought into that token when, you know, it was in a parabolic rise. You know, maybe another token that's quite good is Kusama, for example. It's at 46 and its market cap isn't too high. Well, you can see here, you know, we had a bit of a parabolic rise up. I'd probably wait a little while for that to calm down a little bit, settle, and the coins that you want to buy into are the ones that are consolidating. A good token that I'm looking at the moment and I'm quite interested in is XLM. It's at 11. It had a pump quite a while ago. The interest has died down. It's consolidated. Let me just bring down the time frame to maybe yearly. And you can see we've had a nice consolidation over here. Maybe it might be a little bit too early to get in. But, you know, it's had a consolidation after that pump. But, you know, this period here is a perfect time to get in. That's the time you want to get in. You don't want to get in while it's rising up like that. You might want to get into that kind of rise. Maybe if you've got a futures contract that you want to do, you might want to long it. But, you know, with your long, you just want to do that for a couple of minutes, half an hour, 1 hour, and close it. That's it. You're done. You don't want to hold, you know, your futures contract for long term. That is not how you use futures. So that's another important thing. Another thing to consider is, you know, if you're playing with dead tokens, you're kind of playing with fire. There's a lot of dead tokens. There's a lot of tokens that haven't really been developing or doing much over the last couple of years and are just slowly working their way down. I wouldn't recommend those kind of tokens where there's no development happening whatsoever. I can't see any on this list. Maybe an example is see a coin, you know, that is not really being developed on that much these days. But, you know, maybe actually, you know, you look at this chart, you can see it's been some consolidating for a long period of time. It hasn't had a bump up at all. And, you know, it's starting to rise slowly here. So maybe this might be a good token to get into. And probably my last point that I'll make today, because this video is getting on a little bit, is be careful of influencers on YouTube or people that bring out, you know, YouTube videos, including me. The thing that I've noticed is with quite a few influencers, you know, they will give you a token of the week or token of the day. And especially if they're small cap tokens, they'll say this is the one that I think is going to do really well. And then you go over to Uniswap or Binance or whatever it might be, and the token has gone sky high. If that's the case, you're too late. If it's still low and it's in its consolidation period, then fine, you could buy it. You could have a little, you know, trade on that and see how you do. But if it's just skyrocketed, you're too late. There's no point in getting in if the coin has gone up that high. Just to be completely transparent with you all, you know, the tokens that I discuss on this channel, I have bought into. Usually I might discover something. Of course, I'm going to buy into it, but the amount I buy is so small that it's not going to have any significant impact on the price of the token. And there really isn't going to be much pumping of the token at that time. So it's definitely not anything that I want to bring to you guys in terms of pump and dump schemes. And then finally, what I would suggest is the way you allocate your tokens. So, you don't want all of your tokens in a micro cap. You probably want, probably 40% of your assets in some of these top projects that you've got here, whichever one you think would do really well or you'd like. Maybe the next 30-40% you might want it on mid caps. Compound, that's kind of been forgotten about for a little while. That's a good project. Yearn Finance is a big one. That's another one that you might want to have a look at. Solana's been doing really well, and that's risen quite a lot lately. Probably wouldn't put any money in there because it's gone up quite a bit so far. The Graph had a lot of hype, and Near had a lot of hype around that. Hedera Hash Graph had a lot of hype. You might actually have a look at Ontology. That is a good project. It's a layer one scaling solution, and there's a lot of things being built on top of that at the moment. Thor Train is another good project. And you might even look at getting in at 99 or 100 tokens here. Ampleforth 96, that's another great project, and it's probably a good price to get into, only $1.03. And then you just probably want maybe 10%. Actually, I'll probably say 5%, maybe 10%, something around that region, on small caps. And what I mean by small caps is tokens that are less than $10 million market cap. And you tend to only really find those coins on Uniswap or any other platform. And then you want to keep a small proportion, maybe 5% in USD or USDT. And then you can put that in an Nexo or BlockFi wallet and collect 5 to 8% or even maybe more, 12% interest on your USD. And that's just in case, the market completely dumps. If the market completely dumps, it's too late for you to get out. You can still use your USD to buy up cheap tokens with the money that you've set aside. So I hope that's been useful for you all. Just some advice and trading tips that I have. I'm no means an expert, but hopefully it proves useful for all of you. And if you got any trading tips of your own, share it in the comments below. This is not financial advice, it's just my own opinion. Please like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video. So appreciate your time and thank you for watching.